I heard a story of a man who complained to his doctor about his wife. He told the doctor, "My wife has a hearing problem." Then the doctor advised that he carries out a hearing test on his wife before the next visit. The test was to be carried out as so. He was meant to speak to his wife from 3 different distances, from the farthest point to the closest. On getting home, his wife was in the kitchen cooking, so he decided to carry out the test. He stood at the farthest point and asked his wife, "What are you cooking?" And there was no response. He moved to the midpoint. "What are you cooking?" Still no response. Then he moved even closer and stood next to her and asked, "What are you cooking?" And she said for the 3rd time, "I'm making chicken soup." Well, I guess you know who had a hearing problem now. Come to think of it, many times we're so unaware of our own shortcomings. How then can we become more self-aware? By understanding temperaments. I'd like to ask, what is temperament? According to the book I read, temperament is a combination of traits we inherit from our parents. It's a combination of inborn traits that subconsciously affect our behavior, and this is based on our nationality, race, and sex. I want us to consider this in 3 steps. So first we have our temperament, second our character, and third our personality. We already explained what temperament was, but now what is character? Character is the real you. The Bible refers to our character as the hidden man of the heart. You see your natural temperament modified and civilized by childhood training, education, and basic attitudes, beliefs, principles, and even motivation. The third thing to consider here is our personality. The book addresses this as the outer expression of ourselves, which may or may not be the same as our character, depending on how genuine we are. Our personality can be a facade for an unpleasant or weak character. So we act based on what we think we should be rather than who we are. We have 4 types of temperaments, which can be clustered into 2 groups. In the first cluster, we have either active and extroverted or passive and introverted. While in the second cluster, we have conflict avoiding or conflict seeking. The temperaments are namely the sanguine, the choleric, the phlegmatic, and also the melancholy. Do you happen to know someone who is warm, buoyant, lively, and always the life of the party? That person is likely to be a sanguine. Person is a lot into their feeling rather than being a reflective person. The fascinating storytellers. They're open and sincere and love being around people and often detest solitude. People with this temperament are easygoing, optimistic, sociable. They have great interpersonal skills. They take life pretty easy and they enjoy life. They're adventurous and easily become enthusiastic, but not for long, before they find a new stimulus that would attract and pique their interest. The weakness with this type of temperament is the lack of discipline, consistency. They tend to be highly emotional. The second temperament we'll be considering is the choleric. This person is hot, quick, active, practical, determined, and strong-willed. Also very independent and self-sufficient. Mr. or Mrs. Choleric's emotional nature is the least developed out of all temperaments. We see the weakness here is anger, and it can be used as a weapon to get what they want and usually to have their own way. We all have seen or met someone whose wife is afraid of him and also they terrify their children. They happen to be choleric. They are also extroverted and usually ready to answer with cutting remarks. Cholerics tend to have the least developed emotions except for anger. Areas of improvement would have to be asking God to help deal with the anger and also learning how to be sociable and cultivating interpersonal skills. The weaknesses in this temperament do not give rise for us to say, that's how I am. But we can see God used Apostle Paul, who happens to be choleric. God used that passion, that determination, that zeal, that extrovertedness to achieve great things in the kingdom of God. And many major church institutions were founded by venturous cholerics. The next temperament we'll be looking at is the melancholic. This is the richest of all temperaments because they are analytic, self-sacrificing, gifted, and perfectionist, with a very sensitive emotional nature. This leads them to be very extroverted and also introverted. This person happens to be a faithful friend and does not easily make friends. He or she seldom pushes themselves to meet people, but rather lets them come to them. They're prone to suspicion when others seek them out or shower them with attention. They tend to look at obstacles instead of resources. They happen to be the pessimistic person in a room telling others why an idea would not work rather than how it could work. A weakness is the quality of perfectionism, negativity, and often criticism of themselves and of others. The final temperament we'll be looking at in this video is the phlegmatic. They're calm, easygoing. They never get upset and seldom become angry. And they're the most likable of all temperaments. They tend to have a very dry sense of humor and a positive approach to life. They tend to be spectators and observant, and once stirred up, become efficient in what they do. A weakness in this temperament is selfishness, self-indulgence, and they're almost unlikely to be unconcerned about their family needs and activities. No one is as stubborn as the phlegmatic because they can be very diplomatic whilst still digging their feet in. They hardly yell, but that's not a weakness as they do not budge. So what do we see? The sanguine is active and extroverted but avoids conflicts, whereas the choleric, on the other hand, is also active and extroverted but is conflict seeking. We have the other side of the spectrum, which happen to be passive and introverted. And this is where the phlegmatic and melancholic stay on. The melancholic is introverted and passive, but conflict seeking, whereas the phlegmatic temperament is passive and introverted, but conflict avoiding. I believe this video has helped you to be able to understand yourself better in terms of your temperament. I hope to be able to do another video explaining how you can have a predominant temperament but also a secondary one. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to hearing what temperament you think you are, and this could be an avenue for you to better understand your family, either your husband or your wife or even your children, as everyone does have different temperaments, and we should encourage the strengths and also help them with their weaknesses. We must not forget, no temperament is better than the other. Every temperament has its weakness. Can't wait to hear from you all. Until next time, bye. Do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.